Solving crimes relies on good detectives. It also takes some good communication and the right equipment. Without it, a case could go cold. Idaho State Police declare a cold case once investigators have exhausted every lead, every angle, and they come out with no answers. But that could change with advanced DNA methods. Right now, ISP has their eye on up to about 50 cold cases across the state that could move forward with this new process. That's going to take more staff, though, and more money. Here's Andrew Bartline and KTVB's crime reporter Alex Duggan.
The Idaho State Police Forensics Lab houses shelves of DNA evidence.
The physical cards of someone's cheek swab.
Each card,
And the pink will turn to white.
represents the DNA of a convicted felon or sex offender.
We called it lawfully owed.
Owed directly to the state.
Those felons from our state will go into CODIS, into the database, to be compared against any crime scene sample. And that happens regularly, constantly.
But it doesn't happen every time. ISP Forensics Director Matthew Gamet says some felons don't submit a sample at all.
We want to bring these cases to a conclusion point for the families.
Missing felon DNA hinders police from catching reoffenders. It's one of several problems that's led Idaho State Police to form the Idaho Cold Case and Advanced DNA Methods Task Force. ISP created the group in 2020.
As we recognized that we had a lot of these cases, maybe 40 or 50 of these cases that had never hit to anything, and we started to see this new advanced DNA technology emerge, we recognized we could do more.
The Cold Case Unit connects ISP investigators with local law enforcement and county prosecutors.
Send the investigators out to the local agency. They'll ask if they have any cases that are unsolved, cold cases where there might be DNA that we could use. And then they start to work with that agency to get the DNA submitted to determine what type of testing they need to do. We're going to get to a suspect. And so then those investigators help the local agency to follow up on getting a DNA sample from the suspect and to be able to close that case, take it to court, hopefully.
Gamet says up to 50 cases in Idaho will benefit from this process, but more resources are needed to expand for demand.
To get more people, get more cases worked, those kind of things.
ISP applied for a $2.5 million federal grant to expand the task force. This is to hire investigators to ensure felons turn in DNA samples.
And they can test from this card.
And to assist local agencies to gather and test DNA leads, along with connecting the crime to a suspect. The $2.5 million grant is distributed over a 3-year span. ISP won't know if they've received this grant until October.
So what we're looking to do is expand it so we can even do more, because we don't have enough resources at the state level. That's why we're approaching the grant. So you will start to see cases solved immediately.
If ISP receives this grant in October, they hope to hire for these positions by January of 2023. And these positions will have to be filled by either current or retired law enforcement. That's because Gamet says these people will technically be deputized. That means they are certified to work with local agencies all throughout the state of Idaho. Now, additionally, Brian, these investigators have to have an understanding of warrants, I should say. So if you're going to get DNA from somebody who's a potential suspect, you need to understand how that works out. So they're really looking for retired law enforcement or current law enforcement to make a switch to fill these positions if they get this grant in October.
Okay, so in getting that, the timing of this, you heard him say the last thing he said was they could make or should make an immediate impact. Is it really that simple? More money, solve problems kind of thing?
Well, we wouldn't know that for sure. They're saying it's going to be immediate impact, but we do know that there's been some success with this. Now, our crime reporter Alex Duggan wrote this earlier today and what's going to be on our website. There's a case called Mr. Bones, and it says Mr. Bones was an unidentified man found in the forest of Idaho in 1984. The man's identity was unsolved until 2020. Now, this group who solved it. They did some genealogy testing of the bones that gave Idaho investigators enough leads to contact potential siblings, then confirm that that's who this person was. And I think that led them all the way out to Oklahoma to find that family. So they have had success with this. They say if they get more resources, they will have continued and more success.
Okay, we'll see how that plays out. And we'll find out when, if they get this grant?
October.
October. All right, thank you very much, Andrew.